Good morning, everyone. I'm honored to be here today representing an urban public university that serves a majority first-generation and Hispanic student population in El Paso, Texas, the largest binational community on the U.S.-Mexico border. I'm especially honored to be invited to introduce two outstanding students who represent distinguished land-grant institutions. First, we will hear from Felina Renee King-Cooley, who was born in St. Louis on January 16, 1991. As a little girl, Felina enjoyed being outdoors and being around nature, especially animals. She knew that one day she would grow up to have a career that focused on wildlife. Throughout her pre-college education, she excelled academically, graduating third in her high school class. After completing community college, Felina transferred to Lincoln University of Missouri, where her major is agriculture with a minor in wildlife management. Currently, she works alongside her advisor using radio telemetry to track box turtles within the school property for research projects. Upon graduation, Felina hopes to become a wildlife biologist and work for an agency or organization with the objective of research and conservation. Felina's hobbies include reading, writing, and traveling. Our second outstanding student is William Justin Morrill, who was born in Texas to proud Texas A&M University alumni parents. After being homeschooled until high school, Justin enrolled at the University of Nevada, Reno, and graduated in December of 2011 with dual Bachelor of Science degrees in Economics and Finance from the Anasari College of Business Administration. At graduation, Justin was recognized with an Outstanding Senior Award from his college. In addition to his academic success and his many other extracurricular activities, Justin proudly served during his senior year as president of Delta Sigma Pi Business Fraternity. Among many other accomplishments, Justin organized the first annual Student Business Leaders Networking event, the first such activity on the UNR campus. After graduating, Justin and a partner achieved third place in the 2012 Nevada Governor's Cup Collegiate Business Plan Competition. Justin is currently employed at ISN, a software and procurement company located in Dallas, Texas. Felina?
Good morning. On July 2nd, 1862, President Abraham Lincoln officially signed the Morrill Act. With this, it gave right for public lands to be donated to several states and territories in which colleges may provide adequate educational tools for students in the agricultural field. Over 30,000 acres of land was given to the states in order to fund public colleges that focused on agriculture and mechanical arts. Currently, over 69 colleges are funded by these land grants. While the Morrill Act of 1862 was intended to create land-grant institutions for African Americans in the southern states, several schools were established. Later, Justin Morrill, U.S. Senator of the time, created the second Morrill Act. This would not provide land to the states, but instead provide funding which would come from sale of public lands. The act also said that institutions must not practice racial discrimination, or they will forfeit their eligibility for funding. With this in mind, the southern states had the opportunity to establish black land-grant colleges under state control, convert an already existing private black college as a land-grant college, name an existing black institution as a land-grant, or take over a private black college as a state college. From these new changes, HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities, were created. HBCUs became the powerhouses for blacks who wanted to pursue their education, especially in teaching. These institutions were labeled separate but equal, but these 1890 institutions were the sources for instruction, research, and extension for African Americans. The Morrill Act was put into effect in order to prepare students for the workforce upon graduation. Educational support was given directly from the government. The act ensured that there will always be funding to provide colleges and universities to further expand their agricultural programs and encourage students to pursue their degree in the science. On a personal note, one opportunity that is within my reach is the GIS, Geographic Information Systems Scholarship. If selected, it would grant me partial funding for my educational needs, and it also offers guaranteed internships and job opportunities after I graduate. The GIS scholarship is an example of funding provided to help those of us in agricultural science achieve our goals. Since attending my university, I have been blessed with hands-on classes that provide a well-rounded experience on agriculture and all it has to offer. From plant science to wildlife management, I have grown a deeper appreciation for the earth and its natural resources. Some of the other opportunities that I have been taking advantage of include Manners, Minorities in Agriculture, Natural Resources, and Related Sciences member. This organization allows me to meet others in my field and sharpen my networking skills. I also work as a field work assistant with my advisor, where I am using radio telemetry techniques in order to track movement patterns of box turtles for a research project. These extracurricular activities are only the beginning of my journey towards my lifelong goals, and I am thankful for each opportunity. I am gaining experience in my course of study, wildlife management, and I am interacting with people who share my interests, as well as coming in contact with future employers. It is because of the Morrill Act that I, along with other 1890 students, are provided with opportunities to advance our educational studies in agricultural sciences. Whether it's working on a research project on a university farm or studying plant science in a laboratory, students have the chance to gain more experience within their field of study, which may not have been offered to them without the passing of the Morrill Act. I pray that this act will continue to fund educational facilities that will expand the interests of current and future students from across the world. As I strive to complete my studies, I will make it my responsibility to do my part in ensuring that our communities become a healthier, safer place to live in. Thank you.
Good morning. I'd like to start today to thank Dean Gregory Mosier of the UNR College of Business and James Torres for connecting my sister and I to this marvelous event. I would also like to thank the organizers of this event for the opportunity to attend and share my thoughts on attending and graduating from a land-grant university. I am honored to be a part of this 150-year celebration. The Continental Congress stated in the Northwest Ordinance of 1787 that knowledge being necessary to good government and the happiness of mankind, schools and the means of education shall forever be encouraged. This a belief that Justin Smith Morrill made a reality. The Morrill Land Grant Act has been an important focal point of the education of my family. Between my sister, my mother, my father, and I, we have 6 degrees from land-grant universities. My father is the leader with 3, 2 from Texas A&M University and 1 from the University of Massachusetts in Amherst. My mother has 1 from Texas A&M University, and my sister and I both have our degrees from the University of Nevada, Reno. I would like to share my personal perspectives on the land-grant university system, and more specifically, my experiences at the University of Nevada, Reno. In the university system, there is room for any type of endeavor, belief, or experiment. One of the things that I enjoyed at my land-grant school was the part that applied to practical use. The amount of research that is conducted and contributed to the world by American land-grant schools is outstanding. For example, agricultural techniques developed by the land-grant universities have been implemented throughout the world. In my economic classes, understanding practical implementation differed than theoretical by understanding the difference in culture, tradition, and climate. Even in my theoretical economic classes, we maintained, at the end of the day, in our perspectives of reality, at least somewhat. This, I believe, would bring a smile to the face of Justin Smith Morrill, who anticipated the university for the practical. Sidney J. Harris once said, "The whole purpose of education is to turn mirrors into windows." As for me, UNR was a chance to expand my intellectual horizons, to change my beliefs and foundations, but most importantly, to create a set of skills and critical thinking that would allow me to be both productive and contributive. All of these fundamental skills were available to me from the proximity of my parents' home, which was in case I had an emergency, such as a good meal or access to do my laundry. However, if I was to sum up my perspective on the land-grant universities, it is building self-sufficiency on the farm, on the construction site, or operating a mine. It is a practical university education for expanding production, improving intellectual reason, and implementing practical use that contributes to the individual and society. For me, a land-grant university epitomizes the truth that if you give a man a fish, you will feed him for a day. But if you teach a man to fish, he will feed himself for his lifetime. In closing, and in regards to the education provided to me by the Morrill Land-Grant Act, as well as the opportunities it provided to my family in the greatest country the world has ever known, let me quote James Cagney from the movie Yankee Doodle Dandy, as if I was speaking directly to the author of this act. My mother thanks you, my father thanks you, my sister thanks you, and I thank you. May God bless the United States of America, and thank you for having me here today.